It didn't take much more than a bottle and 2 chairs to make a speakeasy. This is what Daniel Okrent said in his book, Last Call, The Rise and Fall of Prohibition. Today, join us for some stories. Get your own bottle, glass, mug, and relax. This is Speak Easily, and I'm your host, Krista Stauffer.
The camera, that one, the moving one,
It's not, maybe. Pour scalding hot coffee in our laps at the beginning of the podcast. Maybe wait till
That's
the...
Kobayashi.
Maru?
No.
Do you like, are you a hot drink, cold drink? Like it has to be cold or it has to be hot? Or are you somewhere in the
I'm
middle?
more in the middle. Like I leave my water out of the refrigerator and drink at room temperature. And then for stuff like this, like it's a little hotter than I would prefer right now. I like it when it's cooled down that I can drink it comfortably without having to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Preference.
Middle of the road.
Water has to be ice cold.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely ice cold. Hot tea, almost room temperature. I can't do super hot stuff.
Okay.
But like Coca-Cola has a very specific temperature range that is perfect.
Brought to you by Coca-Cola.
Thanks, Coke.
If you leave it a perfect example, if you leave a can out in your garage, your attached garage in the winter, that's the perfect temperature.
No matter what temperature it is
Wow.
outside.
Typically,
But only if it's an
Attached.
attached.
Like-
because it's just a little bit.
There's some home warmth.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's
Riveting.
somewhere in the 50s, I believe.
Okay.
I have to look. It's been a while.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Perplexed by this. And I've learned a lot about you now.
Yeah.
More about Shane than about anything else.
Yeah. No,
What's
my
your-
answer's not nearly as fun as his. I think it should be just shy of freezing. If there's chunks of ice floating in it, the better.
Really?
Yeah.
I cannot drink ice water. I just can't do it.
There's
cannot
always
do
ice
it.
in my water.
Like I'll be the weird one at the restaurant that's like, water, no ice, please.
Oh yeah, no ice ever. I don't like when it sneak
I
attacks
don't want to.
you.
I know.
Or it, like hits your teeth.
Yes.
My wife does that too. I don't.
You get so much less. I don't
Yes.
do ice and soda because you get so much less.
We don't want to water it down.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I'll drink room temperature soda. I don't know
Same.
why.
Yeah.
It's
I will drink.
fine.
No.
No.
I've had a
No.
hot soda once. It wasn't the best, but
I mean, I'll drink room temperature red wine, but
Yeah.
that's about.
Well, that's
all.
yeah.
I mean, technically, they say that
chill.
you should
Yeah.
put the
Yep.
red wine in the refrigerator, 30
20
minutes before? 20
it's
minutes?
the 20-20 rule.
Okay.
So you take
the white
your
out.
white out 20,
Yeah.
you put your red in for 20.
Right. Or get a wine fridge that just has a slightly different temperature.
This is true. That actually is quite easy. Yeah. Well, hi.
Hi.
Welcome back.
It's only been a year.
Yeah.
It's been a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Our surroundings are a little different.
Very different.
Little.
Yeah. This is exciting to have you guys back in this space, but this has been our home also for a little while.
Yeah.
So not new to us, but kind of new to where we were last year
Yeah.
anyway. So it's all been done. Radio Hour is celebrating a little bit of a milestone.
Small one.
Not a small undertaking at all. Tell us, Jim, about this.
It will be our 100th monthly show in October. So every single month since July 2015, never missed one. Jumped online during the pandemic, came
Yeah.
back to live theater after, and the only person that will have been at all 100 shows is Shane Stefanchik.
What?
I missed one.
With his garage soda?
His garage soda. The only one to be at all 100
That's
monthly shows.
amazing.
Uh-huh.
Eh,
So many extra shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's true. We've probably done like 20, 25 extra shows,
yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. And that's a lot of writing.
It's a bit.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Does it take the whole month to get stuff together? Or do you have kind of like ideas for next ones and things sort of popping up? Do you plan ahead? Do you,
You
write?
plan so far ahead.
I mean, we're on an arc of universe journey right now that Shane and I talked about back at Pack Rat Comics in 2016.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That we were just like, eventually we're gonna do this arc and this arc and this arc, and eventually we'll get to that arc.
Wow.
And we just started that arc this
do you have to
month.
write all this
Yeah.
down though? I mean, that's
not the major arc stuff. Details I write down or else I forget.
true. But are you a physical writer or type?
I used to be a physical writer, but I've become a typist. I
Okay.
mean, even when we hang out after the shows and we're talking ideas at the bar, I'm pulling up my Trello board and making notes on there. And even then, I'll forget to look at the Trello board and just write whatever occurs to me. But
And then it's a fun surprise when you go back to the Trello board and you're like, oh yeah, I did have that idea.
And Kristen's like, "Where are we going to do something the opposite of this?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, okay, let's see if I can
bring up the board.
How many writers are there total? When you do the majority of it.
Yeah. Megan and Darren both have been submitting a lot of commercials, which helps round things out. Sam has written, I don't know, 10 episodes. Samantha Stark. She's written probably 10 episodes of like segments. Darren's written a couple episodes of segments. Nick's contributed a little bit recently, but in the past has contributed a lot more segments. But yeah, when we broke it down on IMDb by commercials and segments, it's something like 95% I wrote, and then 5% everybody else.
You were the Alexander Hamilton of the IABD crew.
So hopefully I don't get shot and die in a duel.
Let's go for that. Yeah, that's
if it happens, it's going to be one of these two.
I put my money on Kristen. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I love you, Shane, but in a duel,
we've talked about if I turn up dead, she should be the number one suspect.
Probably. Yeah. Yes. How would you do it?
You're a true crime expert.
Yeah,
so. I am. So I know enough about true crime to know that I would absolutely not get away with it, no matter what. I'm not that arrogant. Let's see. It would probably have to be some sort of accident. I think that would be the hardest to prove.
That's true.
Yep.
A push down the stairs.
A fall.
It's sad that we go for the exact same.
An electrocution.
I know. We are. We're going to Hocking Hills soon, so maybe
I could fall off a cliff
maybe we can go for a hike.
Sure, why
just
not?
you and me. We'll just talk about the show.
I like it.
Are you true crime fans?
I like it when I see it. I don't go out of my way to consume it.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, because I know we're not in that boat at all. We do consume it.
Oh, yes.
Like, what's the next case?
Yeah.
I don't know why. Why is it that women are so fascinated with true crime?
To learn what not to do.
Well, I would die
avoid.
for sure.
What to look out for.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, what situations not to get into when you see the red flags pop up. Like, ooh, this reminds me of this scenario.
One of the things I like best is learning about like people who were like falsely imprisoned or convicted of things, and then like how hard it is to go back and like undo once the legal system has gone through the entire like courtroom jury trial and all of that. Like, it's fascinating, but how often it happens is incredibly disconcerting.
It very much is.
Oh yeah, it's awful.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I don't.
Anyway.
I do actively seek it out. I enjoy that. It's strange, but I don't know.
So we need a true crime sketch. True crime.
I'm thinking of. I have a character in mind who that's going to be one of her quirks. Is like she's going to randomly drop in like, well, you know, if this, then that. Like, she's going to know a lot about like crime scene investigations, and she's going to have snippets of, well, this one lady tried that, and she, died of.
In the Gacy situation.
Yeah.
And I think most of those lines Kristen's going to have to add in after the script's done.
Oh, I have a list of like, what do I only know because I've consumed so much true crime.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Now, being a podcast, and was the intent always to be a live drama podcast?
Yes.
That was from the beginning.
The format was set from the beginning. And that was something that we thought would make us unique. Even now when there's a lot more scripted podcasts, which there weren't in 2015, but now there are. Almost none of them do it live, or if they do it live, it's like a limited tour to like the really popular, like Welcome to Night Vale or Magic Tavern. Hello from the Magic Tavern might do a tour where they'll go in front of an audience, but that's like a separate thing than what their regular podcast is. It's not. So we're, as far as I know, still the only ones doing a live show other than Thrilling Adventure Hour that we stole the format from, which had ended their 10-year run, but now do a couple of shows a year.
Okay.
So they haven't gone away entirely.
Is it something, I know this is like a strange question to ask, but is it something that you just openly, we're just going to keep going? We just keep going. Is there an end? Because I know you have to end certain shows and certain...
Yeah, we'll end certain segments. Anytime I might consider ending it, again, she'd probably kill me and just keep it going. So it's when it feels natural to end, I think when it starts to feel like the main people involved think that we should be wrapping up, then I think we will. I can't imagine like the central group of people that work on it leaving and continuing it, even though everybody's replaceable and whatever. Like if Shane and Kristen and Sam came and were like, we're done, I'd probably be like, okay, let's take a year and do it right or whatever. But
No, we actively talk about this like after every monthly show when we go out afterwards. We're like, no, you're not allowed to end. This is like
Yeah.
got
the
plenty
next
of ideas
40
for
years of your
more.
life.
Yeah.
I'll say like, oh, 20 or 25 years sounds good. And they're like, shut up.
No, no.
So we'll see.
We'll see. But 100 episodes, I mean, that's nothing to cough at. Is that the right phrase?
100
Cough
shows.
at?
Yeah.
100 shows, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you break it down like segment numbers, we're
That's
close
fine.
to like 400 or 500
Yeah. Yeah.
different
Yeah.
stories. So, I mean, Universe Journey alone's had 110 episodes.
Yeah, because we've done that a few extra times.
Okay.
So that's why it's a little higher of a number. That's the one show we always do every month.
Okay.
Except 2 months we've missed it.
Oh, for
3
specialty,
months,
like if we do like the
full length.
full Daniel Kravitz musical episode was all Daniel Kravitz.
Right.
Yeah.
Or show number 7, way back in the day,
Yeah.
we skipped
Oh,
Universe
yeah.
Journey.
Now, you guys have so many of the same crew each time you do it.
Yep.
So do you hear their voices ahead of time on the characters and that sort of thing?
Oh, absolutely.
And
It's
that's-
much harder to write the characters before they've been cast or
Right.
played any length of time.
Right.
I mean, Shane just debuted a new character, and I'm sitting in the script going, does this sound like how you're going to play it? Because
Yeah, so it's
I
new,
need to
so-
learn
Yeah.
his speech pattern and what that character feels like. And because he had such a heavy hand in creating it, whereas normally I create it, but then I kind of let the actor do what they're going to do with
Yeah.
it. But because he took such a central role in it, that makes it even harder for me to be like, am I writing this right? Tell me if if it needs rewritten.
Yeah.
And then, of course, his audition was the best.
And you do have everybody audition for.
So we did. And
Oh, okay.
Oh.
No, Kristen is right to tease me because way back in the day, like the 3rd year of the show, there was a character I kind of had in mind, and then she played a big hand in creating, and then I still made her audition for it. And now, if a actor has a big hand in creating the role, they may
It's
not have to
theirs.
audition for.
Yeah.
And it's very much that everybody in the troupe is allowed and encouraged to create characters. So it's not like, oh, you're my favorite, so you got to create a character.
Right.
Everybody has the same opportunity.
Okay.
But yeah, if you put a lot of thought and effort in, it's not fair to everybody else when you audition it, because like a lot of people auditioned for that role that Kristen got.
Okay.
And her having thought about the character for 6 months, her audition is very different from somebody who got the
right.
packet a week ago.
Yeah.
And so it's not fair to them either, because it's not like an equal chance.
True.
But yeah, most shows there is an audition packet that's up on the website.
Yep.
So if you want to, if you're a guest and
Yep.
you want to guest star, or like, internally, if I don't just get roles, it's like I have to audition. Everyone has to audition for a part.
Yep.
Now you might not get the part you audition for,
Right.
because you might like the voice better, a fit for this character or something, or you like the voice enough and you make a character off of it.
Or I hold it for
True.
3 years and eventually I'll get around to putting it in the show.
Yeah.
Do you, I mean, is there any animosity when people don't get the roles they want?
I mean, we've come to blows a few times.
Okay.
A couple bloody lips, a few missing
Fun.
teeth.
Yeah. Push
Very-
us downstairs.
Yeah, minimal. I'd say can count on one hand the number of times that Jim's been knocked out.
Unconscious.
because of-
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't
Yeah.
usually get that far.
Right,
Only
right.
hospitalized a couple of times.
That's okay.
No, I honestly, I've had a number of troop members go, well, I'll be disappointed if I don't get a role, and then I hear the person that got it, and they're all such fans of each other that
Yeah.
Makes
it's
sense.
Oh yeah, there
Yeah.
there was I don't remember what it was at this point. It was some early on. I auditioned and I was like, this is so good. I love this. I'm like definitely gonna get it. And then I read, like the cast list, and I didn't get the part. I was like, oh man. And then I was probably Joe. I probably heard Joe Morales, and it was just like, oh my gosh. Well, this is so much better
Yeah.
than what I had. Like, and it fits perfectly. Like he's great.
That's
But-
awesome. Well, and it's good too that it keeps you guys auditioning and trying. And
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I feel like as far as I know, I've never heard of anyone being upset or any internal conflict. I think personally, if anything, we are fans of each other. We're inspired by each other. I'll go through times where I feel like I've run out of voices, and then I'll hear someone else do something, and it's like, oh yeah, like I could
Yeah.
do, it could be like a vocal, like more of an affect or like a tick or something. I'm like, oh, that's brilliant, and it's really inspiring.
Is it hard
Yeah.
to find new voices at this point? You feel like you've ever well, that sounds exactly like my character I did in this one. and-
Sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah. You have to dig deep and try a few things first, and sound really dumb in a couple of recordings before you get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also the thing of like, you come up with a really good voice and you're like, oh man, I don't want to waste the voice on like a
Small
one-off
segment,
character,
yeah.
so you might
Yeah.
hold it and then you forget you made that
get
voice.
your-
Well, you never know what's going to be a one-off character because I may really like the voice and go, okay, I see another 6
That's-
episodes for this character.
That's
So
true.
it just
That's-
depends.
Yeah.
That has happened.
Are you blown away by the talent most of the time? I mean, it's
I mean, it's okay.
incredible.
No, of course I am. Of course I'm
just to
super
be
impressed.
coming up with new stuff all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel the pressure to try to write stuff good enough for them, and
Yeah.
of course, I self-doubt all the time and
Well, you're an
imposter
artist,
syndrome
yep.
crap and all
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
But no, obviously, I'm so impressed with this group and feel
Mm-hmm.
incredibly lucky to work with them month after month and how often they come back
Yeah,
year after year.
right. And you guys have worked at a lot of different venues. You'll go present at different places. Where's the favorite place besides the home base?
I mean, obviously, Boxley.
Mhm, yeah.
Well, duh.
Well,
Besides your home, where have you enjoyed performing the most?
Well,
we're obviously we're at the whim of the elements, but I like the Arts Fest,
Mhm.
the
When it doesn't
outdoor
pour.
when it doesn't
When they
you know,
don't stop us
pour,
from big
or when there's
performance.
not like
Mhm.
looming
Sorry.
Yeah.
storms
Yeah.
Yes.
in the distance. But you know, I really enjoy those because it's a chance for people who are just walking around, hanging out, to
Mhm.
like walk by and see us and sort of just
Oh,
sit down
that's
and
kinda cool.
yeah. Personally,
Yeah, I like
those
being
are mine.
outside. Yeah, Columbus
Mhm.
Arts Fest, absolutely. We're going to try a new venue here next month, where we're playing at an assisted living facility in Dublin. They've hired us.
Amazing.
They've hired us to come in and do a special show as part of a week-long event they're doing, and
Oh, how
we came up
cool.
with some new material specifically
Yeah.
for that. Then we're going to reuse in our monthly show, so it doesn't just.
Yeah.
Sit there for that.
I mean, we
yeah.
have done special shows where we do an original thing and then it doesn't ever get in the monthly, and then we
Mhm.
find a way to work it into the podcast so it becomes canon. But
Okay.
this script and specifically, I'm like, okay, we're gonna put these
Yeah.
stories back in the show as soon as
Do you have
possible.
to change anything for
I
the
mean,
assistant
we'll take, out,
audience?
we'll take out continuity stuff, but I think
Yeah.
our show is flexible enough that when we're writing to that audience, it can still fit in this other
Mhm.
show. We just may hold it for a little bit so
Yeah.
it fits in the flow of the segment or whatever. But
That's crazy.
yeah, it's kind of exciting because we've never been like hired by somebody. I mean, we've
Yeah.
been paid for performances like
Right.
Arts Fest pays
Right.
and stuff, but to actually like have somebody reach out and go, I will pay all. I've never paid the actors before until now. The actors are getting paid for this.
Ooh, watch
It's not just
out.
the show. I know, because if it's the Arts
Ugh.
Fest, we just put it in the show bank
yeah.
account. But
I'll be in my trailer.
Yeah.
well, we didn't get paid enough to make it trailer, but it was a very generous offer, and we appreciate the
We're
opportunity.
gonna get a bunch of
so.
divas now, like
Ah.
demands for green M&Ms and things like that.
I mean, sorry. It's been nice working with you.
Right.
Good thing we have other troop members.
Shane will just be in the other room editing the trailer.
Yeah, no
That's
kidding.
true.
The audio
That's true.
trailer.
Yeah. Think back over 100, and what's one of your favorite characters you played?
Well, for me, Meow Meow
Yeah.
in Universe Journey.
Okay.
That was the first character I auditioned for, and been part of Universe Journey since the start. So
Give
that-
us some meow meow in your voice.
Ah, yes, well, it's come naturally at this point.
slip
And
in
not
and out
anymore.
of that.
What was the inspiration for that voice?
I think I didn't know at first what it was, but I think it's a little bit of Zorak from Cartoon Network, and
I could see that. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
and just,
Okay.
yeah, just it's kind of evolved over
Yeah.
the years, but yeah.
And that brings up something fun because eventually we saw more characters from Meow Meow species. So then the people who were cast in those roles have to try to
To emulate
do their
something
own,
of-
their
yeah.
own version of like is this something that his entire species sounds like this? Like what is part of the species that I now have to incorporate into my voice? So
Amazing.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
what species is meow meow?
Oh well, the writer, take it away.
Yeah.
You forgot already.
No.
Like,
He's a surreptish,
passing it on. Okay.
which is apparently a chicken lizard type creature,
Ooh.
alien.
Yeah.
You'd be delicious.
Oh, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was
Ah.
thinking like Velociraptor in my head, I guess, but somewhere along the way, somebody improved that he was like part chicken looking, so
Yeah.
we just went with it.
I love
he had
that.
a beak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had because we killed him.
Oh, yeah.
But
Oh,
I
yeah.
wasn't sure if we were allowed to say that.
I
didn't know
mean,
when this
the
would air.
death scene has not hit the podcast yet, so
Okay.
I guess that's a bit of a
Spoiler.
spoiler, but it will very soon. And
Okay.
the live show audience is known for a long time.
Sure.
And we we haven't been shy, I think, in talking about it because it was such a big deal. And I think just knowing he dies isn't going to spoil the death itself. There's a lot of impact when it happens. There's a lot of lasting impact after it happens. So,
Do you come back from the dead? Can we say that?
I do not come back from the dead.
we discussed when we did this that this was going to be a permanent death, but
Okay.
we did the story in such a way that we know a lot of people doubted us and thought we were
That you were gonna
that we were going to erase the death.
Yeah.
wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Which honestly we kind of did on purpose and
Yeah.
goaded them into being like, hey, we cheated this. No,
Yeah.
we didn't. No, we
No.
didn't.
No,
But
no,
yeah.
no twin brother,
Yeah, I know. No.
No.
Frau, or anything like that.
no.
Interesting. All right, favorite.
Oh,
You know, this is like choosing children. But...
so there's one character that is still I was trying to think of someone who was a smaller, like just sort of a one-off that we haven't seen in a while. For that one, it's not so much it's part the voice and it's part the relationship. There were these two characters that were just in one, they were the sidekicks of the baddie in Top Notch Tangler, Wayne and Cindy. And it was just this couple who they weren't fighting. It was like he constantly thought that she was like putting him down and she wasn't, because his self-esteem was so low. He just thought that she was trying to like cut him down even further, and she's actually so supportive, but they're like missing I don't know. They had a really strange
What were the
dynamic.
voices for that? Do you guys remember?
Oh, Wayne, would you just look at this podcast room?
Are you saying that I couldn't build one this good?
I didn't say that, Wayne!
You didn't have to.
Oh, Wayne, I love you.
I love you.
We've definitely rerun that episode for special performance because it's so great.
That's
And
great.
they're going to come back at some point. Just haven't had the
Yeah.
opportunity to do it
Love that.
yet. Yeah.
Love that.
My favorite voice for a character that is still going it's got to be Teak. Teak has grown on me
Yeah.
so much. Teak, we don't know a lot about Teak.
He is an alien. He is a member of the Trade Court Federation, though we have not revealed that in canon, but it's not like a spoiler.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was looking through old episodes and speech patterns and stuff, and I've discovered that Teak is actually the second member of his species that we've met. We already met another one earlier,
Ooh.
which we will be revisiting in the 100th. So
Ooh.
This is news to
this
you.
is news to Kristen because we haven't talked since I made this discovery
Okay.
I was writing a character for Virgil that's coming back for the 100th
Yeah.
show because he's flying in, our former troop member Virgil von Hartzell, love him.
Oh.
And I wanted to bring back a character he played in the Echo Dimension, and then I looked at the speech pattern in the old script. I'm like, oh, it's the same speech pattern. And then I thought about how he voiced it, and I was like, they're definitely the same species.
Oh, wow.
So, but it was
Interesting.
years apart of him playing it as a one-off and her
Yeah.
premiering this character.
Wow.
Was I in the troop when he did it?
Yes.
I don't remember this at
Ooh.
all. Huh.
Yes. And Teak will not be in the 100th, unfortunately, because it would have been great to see him interact. At some point, we probably will, assuming Virgil's availability.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Teak is a very joyful character. I think it was in the audition packet, but I think what solidified the voice was that there was an excited noise, like
Mhm.
a script note, like makes an excited noise and then like makes a nervous noise. So I had to find these noises, and I think that sort of
So give us some
Info.
teak or excited noises or nervous noises.
Ooh, on podcast. Very excited. Teak is to be talking to you, audience. Yes.
Nice.
You basically write the sentence and then scramble the words.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay. All right. Character.
It's fun. Oh, I'm almost never in the show.
You've played some characters.
I've played a couple.
Okay.
There's a small reoccurring character in Morning Show that Kristen and I talked about that's like Shelley's informant, but we've only seen him a couple of times. That's probably the one I played the most, or subbing in for Carson when Joe's not available
Okay.
on the Top Notch Tangler. And then I also play a bartender in Universe Journey that apparently did not get along with Meow Meow. But I've only played him twice as well.
And the
so-
architect.
Oh yeah, Samantha wrote
Yeah.
some character for the director's commercial that is like the architect behind the whole show. It's a very meta, like they exist outside the universe looking in,
Nice,
and of
nice.
course I'm the creator of the show and that. But again,
Yeah.
I've only played it a couple of times,
Okay.
so I'm still in the single digits in appearances. I'm pretty sure.
And that's by choice.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to be in the show originally, but then when I got the first batch of auditions in, I was like, I'm not going to be the one that brings down the talent.
Which I mean,
quotient.
that's a very humble and appreciative I'm clearly speaking well
But
today.
yeah, every once in a while, I can't resist just getting in there for a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit and playing. Like we did this really big Universe Journey episode, and I threw the bartender at the last minute. He wasn't in the original draft of the script, but I threw him in for one line just so I could be part of that episode
Yeah.
and say something mean to Meow Meow.
You I think you were filling in because someone couldn't be at a show at the last minute, but there was
Oh.
one you
The
were
cutting
in
room
the
floor.
hell to pay
Yeah.
commercial
Mhm.
where you were like the
Jungle.
mad scientist henchman or
yeah.
sidekick or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've played him twice.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've enjoyed doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes like if someone's not at rehearsal, he'll just jump in and read, and I'm like, why don't you do this more, Jimmy? But
I mean, I love doing it, but I have a large cast, and
Yeah.
I don't want to take away from them. And if I see an opportunity that I think is a good fit, then I'll take it, but it's rare.
Right. Right. And
he
you have.
submits an audition to himself.
Mhm.
I
and the
do,
judges
and
are
then
like,
I very...
like, no.
Oh, I was like, oh, that's fascinating.
No, I do not. I just take it.
Then you just are like, I love what you did there.
yes.
Ooh, that's nice. Oh, that's good. You look great too.
That would not be how I would review my own audition. I'd be
No.
like, oh, this is so painful.
No,
I'm
I
not
know.
casting that jerk.
I would not listen to myself.
No.
Is it? You've got what, about 20 in the
We have
the ensemble?
18 in the ensemble currently. This is the biggest we've ever been. I think we started at 13 and we've wavered between the two over the years. And we've had over 120 guest stars, so a lot of local performers, which we're very proud of. Almost all local. We probably have half a dozen that aren't local that are
Okay.
more like national profile that pre-recorded stuff and sent us, like, Janet Varney and stuff. I think we talked about that last time. But
Yeah.
And a lot of them will be coming back for
The 100. I think we have 8 guest stars for the 100th. A
Yeah.
couple former troupe members, including somebody that's not performed with us since 2017.
Are you allowed to say?
Sure. Our former troupe member, Caitlin Hamilton,
Okay.
who was one of the original troupe members, and she drove from the state of Delaware every month to perform with us. And she did it for 2.5
my
years.
gosh.
Not every month, but most months. And then she was moving to Oregon when she resigned.
It's a longer drive.
And we reached out during the
Not bad.
pandemic and offered her a Zoom, and it just didn't work out. And now I invited all the former cast members and guest stars to come to the show for free for the 100th to make it a big celebration and party. And she said, yeah, I want to come. And I said, well, if you're coming, do you want to be in it? And she's like, sure. And I was like, then I'm going to work you in it because that's so cool
Yeah.
that
Oh,
she's
that's
coming
fun.
back for that.
Yeah. Who have been some of your favorite guest stars that you've seen over the time?
Oh man. Well, I mean, obviously Janet Varney. She wasn't physically present, but she was in voice
spirit.
of Legend of Korra, and all that. She's been in a bunch of stuff. That was super cool for me personally because I like her work. Let's see.
Tell us what she's been in so that.
Legend of Korra.
She was Korra
She
on
was Korra,
Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Avatar.
The Last
Legend-
Airbenders.
Yeah.
You've got to help me out.
That's right.
My
Yeah, yeah.
nerdisms go in a very different direction.
Yeah. She was in. She had her own show. Oh gosh, I'm blanking right now.
Okay.
I'm a bad fan.
That's okay.
She was in the sitcom You're the Worst as a pretty large reoccurring role.
Okay.
She was really good in that on FX. Yeah,
She was
she's
on,
hosted some stuff.
Thrilling Adventure Hour.
She joined Thrilling Adventure Hour's troupe right before they got canceled.
Yeah.
Well, not canceled. They chose to end it on their own terms.
Yeah.
And she's been in the additional shows they've done since.
Okay.
But she wasn't in when they were doing it regularly, unfortunately, until right at the very end.
Okay.
Because she is super talented.
Mm.
Yeah, everything I've seen her in, I love. She has wide range. She is one of the founders of the Sketch Fest thing in San Francisco they do every year.
Yeah.
Which is a big deal. She has her own podcast on the Maximum Fun Network, which is my favorite podcast network.
Okay.
So yeah, she's really awesome. And Justin McElroy, of course, was the other big one that's
Okay.
like the king of podcasts. But local talent, we've had some. I love every time we have Stephanie Stevens because she was my choir and drama teacher in middle school and high school,
Aw.
and she's guest starred like 8 times.
Okay.
She's not in the 100th, but she's coming, so that's exciting.
Nice.
But yeah, Joel Savage was really great as the villain that you
Yeah,
two's
he-
Okay.
henchman, the Wayne
He's
and
the one
Cindy.
that had to
Okay.
deal with Wayne and Cindy.
Aw.
I really enjoyed. I don't know how many roles he had. I know that J.T. Walker, he did. I think also he was a villain in Top Notch Tangler, and then he eventually became our Foley artist for a while. I remember really enjoying his voice and his character, and I wish he'd been able to play a few more characters, but he was always busy doing the
sound effects.
doing the
Yeah.
sound effects. Yeah, but I
And he'll be
thought
back
that
for
was
the
so
100th.
cool. Yeah,
As an
yeah.
actor.
Oh,
I loved
very
having
cool.
him.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anybody else you enjoy?
Nikki Smith is
I
one of
was-
my
yep,
favorites.
yep.
Nice.
Is she coming back?
She's going to be in the 100th.
Yay.
And hopefully her husband, Brendan Meekna, will be as well. It depends on his availability, but we've written him in, so we're hoping.
I'll give him the day off.
Thank you.
Just kidding. I don't know Brendan.
Oh, he's wonderful.
Not
Just kidding, you
yet.
don't get the day off.
No, he doesn't. No. You being a podcast, you all are podcast listeners as well. What are your favorites?
Well,
That's-
Besides
I would-
Speakeasy, I'm just kidding.
yeah.
No.
I'd say I'd probably end up listening to the least podcasts here, mostly
Mhm.
because I'm ending up like editing things. So actually listening
It's
is
not.
difficult. I have to sit and listen. I can't be doing two things. I'm not that
Oh,
kind of.
okay.
I have to. All of my focus goes to words.
Yeah.
I can listen to music and do other stuff,
Mhm.
but like someone talking, I have to.
Okay.
But probably Welcome to the Magic Tavern.
Mm-hmm.
Hello from the
Hello from the Magic Tavern. Yeah.
That's
See,
cool.
I'm that bad. I don't even know the
That's
name of
okay.
it.
It's okay. They're not paying for this today, so you're okay. Yeah.
I'll try to keep it short, but I could geek out about this. So one of the true crime podcasts that I love, it's called It's Always the Husband.
Ooh,
They
I need to
only
look this
cover
one.
cases where the
husband
husband
did
or the male partner committed the crime. So there's no mystery
I need
ever.
to look at that.
It's 2
Mhm.
women who I think they're both from Minnesota. So they've got the thick
Oh, the
Minnesota,
thick
yeah,
accent, yeah.
and they'll just
He
they'll just be
did.
talking about like, oh, these husbands, what are they doing? Oh my goodness. And they made up this character. They watch shows where there are reenactments, and they
Yeah.
came up with this character called Forensic Files Carol, where they critique the reenactment of the murder, and they're like, you just know that they had to call Carol from her secretary's desk and be like, Carol, get out here. We gotta put you up. We gotta put you in this. No, Carol, lay down in this pool of blood, Carol. Now, come on, you'll get your lunch break late. It's just so
Oh, that's awesome.
funny and cute.
I love that.
Let's see. That's the one I'm binging right now.
Mhm.
So I also really love The Office Ladies because
Okay,
I love
yeah,
the show The
yeah.
Office. So yeah,
Mhm.
I'm a little behind on that one right now, but I could listen to that one all the time too. I know you like that one as well.
I do.
Mhm.
I was checking my app. I subscribe to 124 podcasts.
Wow.
How many do you actually listen to?
Oh, I listen to 124.
Do you? I believe
but I'm
you
behind,
do.
but on my playlist right now, I have 171 episodes downloaded of things to listen to. So I'm definitely behind on things, and some of the podcasts, like just the most recent ones, are downloaded. And when I start binging, it won't actually lower my total. But some of my favorites, I would say, Factually with Adam Conover is a really good one.
Okay.
I love Risk and Body storytelling, both 2 storytelling podcasts. 36 Questions was a fantastic musical scripted podcast with Jonathan Groff and
Love Jonathan Groff.
and who was the woman in it? It was really just like a 2-person show. They only did 3 episodes. It's like a complete story. Jesse Shelton, so another Broadway
Okay.
person.
Yep.
Voyage to the Stars is a hilarious scripted sci-fi that's Janet Varney, Felicia Day, Colton
like
Dunn. It's really good. I listen to a lot of the rewatch podcasts from classic sitcoms that are made by the people that were in it because the stories.
Yeah.
I mean, Office Ladies, Fake Doctors, Real Friends. Just so many good ones.
I do like when they do behind the scenes
Uh-huh.
stuff. I do listen to Michael Rosenbaum's
Okay.
podcast because he's got a lot of guest stars
Mhm.
that were a lot of CW stars and other people, but
Yeah.
a lot of people that I like to
Yeah.
their work. So hearing just behind the scenes
Yeah.
tales on
Oh, I
film
love those.
sets and,
Yeah.
and
Oh, I read so
Yeah.
many like clickbait articles on that crap. Like I know probably way. That's what my brain is full of instead of the stuff that should be up there.
yeah.
Just random trivia.
Just-
yeah.
Yeah, I do like me some trivia.
Mm-hmm.
And you host trivia.
I do host
You're a
trivia,
good
yeah.
host of trivia.
Well, thank you.
It's fun.
It's a lot of fun.
It's
It's good
fun.
times.
What I always like about Murder Podcast is just
We're
why
just
are
gonna
there
talk for a
so
while.
I know, sorry guys. Why are there so many?
There's so many.
There's
murders.
there are a lot
are.
of murders.
There are.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I did see something that said it's interesting that every time you hear about a case, it's like it started off as a normal day.
Oh yeah.
It was
Yeah.
just a normal day.
What
type of
days
town
don't
where
start
you-
off as a
yeah.
normal day?
Right.
Very few.
The type of town where you don't have to lock your doors and where
Yes.
things like this don't happen. It's like, well,
But it
clearly
did.
They do.
It
yeah.
did though. Yeah.
And the thing is, though, even if they cover the same cases, like I'll still listen because I
Mhm.
like hearing the same story, but from different
Mhm.
perspectives. And sometimes I realize, like, oh, I kind of see this differently now.
Mhm.
Like, I'm not as confident in
Right.
my opinion on this as I was when I listened to it the last time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know why.
It's fascinating. It's history, in a way,
Yeah.
sort of.
It's such a phenomenon, and I had an idea for one of my own, but I would never try to do one. It's like we don't need
It's a lot of
this.
research.
It's a lot of research.
It is. It is. We released one episode of the Ferenz Zone. It's actually on YouTube. It was
Okay.
a video, not just a podcast. But yeah, that
interesting.
didn't take off, and
No.
I don't have time for it now. So
No. I'm surprised. I'm amazed that you have that many that you listen to and keep up with. I'm not great at keeping up with them.
I keep up with the news podcasts,
Okay.
like NPR Politics and
Mhm.
The Weeds and stuff. The non-newsy podcasts in general, I'm about 6 weeks behind. And then when you get into the TV rewatch, I'm really only actively listening to a few of those, and
Yeah.
the other ones are to remind me to go back and watch those shows and catch up. And
Okay.
Hello from the Magic Tavern, I'm 100 some episodes behind and haven't listened in a while, but
Yeah.
it's on there, and
Yeah.
I will.
do you listen to podcasts while you're writing?
No, God, no.
Oh, okay.
No, when I'm doing household chores, when I'm vacuuming, when I'm
Oh,
driving in a
okay.
car, even
Yeah.
on vacation, I'll put in a little earbud while
Mhm.
my wife's dealing with the kids and listen. And I listen to most things at double speed. So
I was
that
just
helps
gonna
still.
say you also listen very
Oh.
like fast.
News and stuff,
Yeah.
scripted stuff, I do 1.5 or less.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Interesting. There's only one that I listen to faster than
Mhm.
because her voice is so slow that she speaks everything like this.
That would drive me nuts.
Oh, but it's phenomenal content. It's
Yeah,
called You Must
yeah.
Remember This.
Oh, okay.
And it's like old Hollywood,
Mm.
some crime, but just a lot of old Hollywood stories and things like that. It's
interesting.
such great information, but I'm like 1.5. Let's go. Let's get you through this. Is there a certain genre that you find yourself going to more often than others?
I have
Even
such
in
a
your
variety.
writing.
I mean, my writing, I go for geek stuff.
Yeah.
Superhero, sci-fi,
Mhm.
time travel.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is
Yeah,
there-
we try to have a wide variety of segments, like
Right.
all the time, so that especially for the live audience, if this 20-minute episode isn't quite your thing,
Mhm.
hopefully the next one will be. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Currently, the morning show is probably the most grounded in
Mhm.
reality. That is until our bar happens.
Aw.
So yeah, that's kind of a political newsy one. We've got
Mhm.
one that's a noir detective spoof. We got like a fairy tale one, so they're not
Yeah.
all super geek, but they're
Right.
all still somewhat
It
geeky.
falls somewhere in there.
Yeah, I mean, Shane is referencing Our Bar though, which is the next segment will premiere, but it's probably at least 2 years away. So
He keeps saying that, and it's gonna be here before I know it.
I don't.
Mhm.
I mean, a year ago I was saying it's 3 years
I
away.
know.
So
Okay. We're getting closer.
Yeah.
Getting closer.
we've actually started like making character sheets and stuff. So it's in
Okay.
active pre-production,
Okay.
but we're taking our time.
Are there
'cause
are
there's
there
no
any
room.
romance stories within?
There's love stories
Yeah.
within
Yeah.
the I mean, a number
Almost
of the
every
characters in different
series,
segments
yeah.
fall in love or
Mhm.
yeah, there's plenty of relationship drama.
Oh yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call any of the segments like
Romance.
overall like romance. No.
Mm-hmm.
Although that
We
That
should
would be
do one of
kind of
those. That would be
hilarious.
fun.
It'd be fun.
I think the closest maybe is Life with a Voice Actor, which is a reality show about 3 couples. That, of course, is all about their relationships. But yeah, it's
Okay.
not romantic because they're all
Yeah.
fighting.
Oh yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
how it really works,
Yeah.
right? So where do you see it going? Like, I mean, 100 in.
At least another 100.
and
Oh
these-
yeah.
okay. All right.
I hope eventually somewhere down the line there is like an animated series
Mm.
of
Yeah.
Universe
of
Journey.
specifically Universe Journey, but like any of the segments
Mhm.
would be great. Yeah.
So if any animators wanna,
Yeah.
And
We're
that'd be great.
actually in the process of re-recording some of the earliest Universe Journey and re-editing it so it sounds a lot more polished
Mhm.
than the live performance. Because the live performance is great, and I hate to lose the audience reaction. I'm going to try to preserve that,
Yeah.
but really just that first 18 shows we had borrowed equipment that wasn't great.
Mm.
So we're going back and re-recording and re-editing, and we're gonna release it sometime next year on its own
Okay.
podcast feed and see if it can do something by
Yeah.
itself. Now that we've got 120 episodes in the bank of it,
That's a lot.
it is.
Well, and to have a consistent voice that
Mhm.
long, that's a big challenge for everybody.
I feel like a lot of the voices on the show started off slightly even Kake, has evolved a little bit
Mhm.
over the years on what he sounds like.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds consistent month to month, but if you pop in episode 1 and episode 100, it doesn't sound that consistent.
It's
Which, in real life, we all grow and evolve and mature, so that's my excuse for
Very
it.
true.
One of the episodes we did recently, well, semi recently with Meow Meow, was I had to go back and like listen to what I sounded like in the beginning and sort of replicate that before it sort of evolved into what it was. So that was an interesting challenge.
And with an alien, though, we have the excuse of saying, well, they did live among other people, but now they're living among
Now,
a different
yeah.
species, so of course their voice is going to change as they
Yeah,
adapt to
they
the people around them.
adapt.
Yeah.
Makes it.
That's what I always think in my head with new too. Anytime
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel like her speech has evolved, or like, oh, she doesn't do this as much anymore. It's like, oh, well, she's an android. She's
Right.
literally like
Yeah.
she's
Learning.
yeah,
She's artificial intelligence.
yeah, yeah.
That's our horror segment. No.
There it
It's our
is.
nightmare.
How do you get yourself to those voices? Is there like a trigger sentence, if you will, or a phrase that will put you into that accent or that speech pattern?
Some of the characters that are more like Earth-based accents, yeah, I'll have like a phrase or something just in my head. If I hear it slipping, I'll say it in my head, and be like, okay, got it back.
There it is.
Yep. But yeah, for the more alien ones, it's more just muscle memory. A lot of it.
Yeah.
A lot of the more interesting but more difficult to keep up voices. For me, it's more like the physical placement of like my mouth, my tongue, my teeth, my jaw. So it's just sometimes if I'm letting it slip, I just start to pay attention. I'm like, oh, I'm not doing the placement that this whole character is based on. So like, yeah, get it back.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I know when I have to play different ones, I have to find a physicality.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That
So
helps,
it's
too.
like, okay, she's gonna stand. Yep, she's gonna stand like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This doesn't really apply to like keeping in character voice, but it's just funny you say that because these are the glasses I wear for Shelley Myers and morning show, and I think there have been a few live shows where I've forgotten to bring them, and it just felt
Not
felt
right.
awful. I hated it. It's like, I don't feel like I'm in character, but she's the most.
Close to your voice,
she's the closest voice to just my natural voice of all the characters I play, probably. So it's strange that I feel that way, but yeah. It's we've all sort of come up with our different levels of. So there's no costumes, no real blocking necessarily, except for very lightly. But some people have come up with their own little quirks or props or costume pieces that they like to pull out. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you, when you guys are up, because you stand 1, 2, 3, 4, do you look at each other?
Well,
I know you've got your script, which makes it difficult.
Yeah,
to
it is.
interact.
It is tough. Ideally, you would pivot your mouth around the microphone, and like you'd turn to look, but keep your mouth sort of pointed at the microphone.
Yeah.
That doesn't always happen because you get so wrapped up in the scene that you'll turn your whole head, and then so you'll turn your whole head, and then now you're saying
Yeah,
like this,
right.
So that's it's not
Yeah.
not the best, but it's hard not to do that.
Yeah, especially like with a theater background, it's hard not to look someone in the eye, but sometimes I know I'm losing the mic, and I'm also losing the live audience sometimes if my head is turned too far. So I'm really a fan of this. I know it looks weird if I'm doing this and the person next to me is actually trying to look at me, but I'm a big fan when we're doing the live show of kind of pretending that I'm looking at the person, but looking straight out instead. And I also feel like that gives our live audience like
they're in.
yeah. So I think like if Meow Meow and New were standing up there together, I think it's just as powerful if we're both just staring straight out, but like picturing each other.
Well, it definitely helps here at the new space, the new Boxland, because
Good plug. Well
thank
done.
you, thank you. The sound system is just so great here that basically like we can hear ourselves through the speakers way better than we ever have anywhere else. So I think that also if someone starts to move their head away, suddenly they can't hear themselves anymore, and so I think
That's
is
a good reminder.
helping as well. So
Interesting.
Yeah, we were lucky that somebody within our troupe helped set up the space and made it perfect for our needs.
Who's that? Shane. Sorry. Are there any characters that have died off that has been like a really kind of a tragic loss?
Oh, of course.
Mhm.
Of
Yeah.
course. I
Yeah.
mean, not just Meow Meow,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
obviously he's a big one. And there's always that temptation to bring them back in some way, but you don't want to overdo that. I mean, there are characters we've killed with the intention of, okay, we're going to,
Gonna come back.
like, we killed the android Noob, but it was part of an arc to reset her development where she got to download and retain her memories, but didn't have the emotions associated with them. So there was a
Okay.
story purpose. It
Yeah.
wasn't just to mess with people.
Right.
But yeah, it's a shame when you lose somebody that you like playing with, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard not to just bring them back.
Dr. Oshuk's death was
That was sad.
it was sad, and I joined a year in, so I didn't actually get to see that character very much until she died. I think she was killed off around Christmas of year 2.
Mm-hmm.
But I always really like that when we do write off a character, especially if it's because they died, the character dies. I think we treat it with a lot of reverence, with the appropriate amount of
Dignity.
Yeah, dignity, honor. Just we give them a good send off. Like with that character, we did the Parting Glass. We sang the song The Parting
We did
Glass.
we showed the funeral, which we don't normally. I mean, for Meow Meow, we kind of did, but in general, if it's a major character, obviously they're going to get a lot more. Universe Journey, the security officer of the week that gets killed, we don't normally. But then we had like what I think was kind of cool was we had an engineer character that filled in for like 2 years on and off Spalding. Dan Kondo voiced him because our main engineer was on his own little journey on Universe Journey, and we killed that character off. Kind of like not a big deal, not like front and center. He died in the midst of a bunch of other chaos that was happening. But then like 6 months later, we did an episode where the captain actually went and talked to his wife and young child and was like, hey, I'm sorry about this. And so it's kind of like every once in a while, we have a lot of disposable characters on that one that are small characters. But then when you have a character like that, it's like, oh, well, we don't have to stop the whole show about it, but let's remind you that there's something behind all of these.
Yeah.
These little deaths have impact.
Ezra was
That was
a
rough.
big one.
Yeah. And then his dead body getting slung around and mistreated so poorly.
We did. It was comedic, but it was dark.
Yeah, it was.
And I think that one was probably a surprise. Another one where the audience expected it to
Be
undone somehow. But
Especially because that's a show with time travel. So
And we'd already hinted that he was going to die. We killed him and brought him back in the same episode. And then the next episode, he died for real.
yeah.
And very brutal, like this guy with a knife. It was very brutal.
wow.
And
It
then
was-
because we couldn't stop, there was no way to like stop him at the moment. He was just dragging around the body and acting ridiculous with him. And it was,
golly.
it was, and part of the conclusion of that story was not only do we need to stop him, we need to take the body away from him and put that body to rest.
Yeah.
Because it was a beloved character.
Yeah.
And poor Joe, as he did not have any lines in that last episode where he was dead, but he was on stage letting himself be
Flop
manhandled
around.
and yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just so for the live audience, you have that like
Yeah.
right in your face reminder.
Yeah, there. I would say, yeah. There's stuff. Even though we don't do like full costumes or anything like that, there is definitely a magic to the live show, to coming to the live show to see. You get the energy. You know, you get the reactions and stuff, and
the flops and gaffs.
That we edit out later.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And anything that breaks continuity that I noticed during the show, I'm making myself a note. We're going to edit that out later.
Yeah.
Re-record that line because somebody improved a line and that conflicts with the episode 20 episodes ago. And
How much improv is a part of it? I mean, it's fully scripted, obviously, but
I'd say less now than there used to be.
yeah,
It's very minimal.
Yeah, it's one of those things. You know, sometimes you'll throw in a line or something, or you'll add. Usually that happens in our first rehearsal, where we're reading the script for the first time, out loud, and so then it's like, you know, you'll add a line here or there, and sometimes it sticks, sometimes it's just a little joke for everyone there.
Yeah.
And then typically not during the live show. 'Cause
Typically,
you
being the
do-
key
yeah.
word.
you can't. Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
and
they
it's-
do. Just not often.
It for me at least, it depends on who I'm in the scene with. I know and there are times for me where I wouldn't want to go off book, or I wouldn't want the person
go
next to
rogue.
me to
Yeah.
go off script, because the timing of it for some segments, especially like if you throw off the timing, it's just gonna mess up the flow. But then in others, like we know I think who appreciates it, who's game to like bounce it right back to you, and who and when to just not.
Well, we used to have a segment called Packer and Ratcliffe with Chase and Dallas playing the leads before Dallas left the troupe. And they improv their way through the theme song and everything around that every time. Like they sang the lyrics, but they threw in all their own ad-libs around everything else. And it worked out really well. And then we started like scripting ad-libs around it too. But because they had the banter and the energy and they could match each other's energy. And
worked out.
Yeah, Chase broke on stage a couple of times, but for the most part, and then we added Nick in as their time machine, and they were just chaotic characters.
Yeah.
So having them all bounce off of each other worked really well. But then there's other scripts where it would derail the scene, so you got to pick and choose.
Is there a lot of breaking on stage? I'm sure it's easy.
I would say a lot.
Sometimes.
You ever had like a full, just had to
Oh yeah.
hold it out?
Yeah.
It happens. We usually get it out at the first rehearsal and then the second rehearsal, which is the day of when we're in the space. But yeah, every now and then there's just a bit that is just too funny, or like the audience is cracking up, and that really
That
is like
makes it-
like oh no.
Or the actor
Oh.
totally changes the delivery for the performance.
Yeah.
And surprises their co-stars on stage and they lose it. We've had like actors like put the one finger up, have to reset themselves and restart the scene.
Yeah.
And the podcast audience, of course, won't hear that.
Oh.
That'll get edited out.
But a live audience
Yeah.
loves
But-
that
and
kind of
that's-
stuff. They love
to
it.
Shane's point, come to the live show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I love about
And because
watching.
we can edit and because we record the run through, so if we really lose a line, we can grab it from the run through.
Yeah.
It doesn't derail the podcast for
Right.
those things to happen.
Right. That's amazing. Oh, I love watching on stage breakdowns or just something going awry
yeah.
and you're like, oh, I forgot.
Yeah,
This is a real thing.
Yeah, blooper reels are some
Yeah.
of my favorite.
Oh, that's great. So, what should we look forward to for the 100th?
For the next, for
Oh,
the
for the
100th
100th.
specifically.
So the 100th was crafted specifically to be really fun with a lot of Easter eggs for people that have come to a bunch of shows or
Okay.
even just a handful of shows, but also completely something new so new people could access it because we really want to build this up as a big party. Everybody's welcome. And so our shows, each segment is part of the greater Radio Hour universe, multiverse. And there are 13 dimensions in the Radio Hour
13.
multiverse. And we don't actually have segments at all. We haven't seen all of them, but we've seen most of them.
Okay.
And the very different styles of some segments denote that they're in different dimensions. So for this, what we've done is taken familiar characters and show you a different dimensions version of them. So that way we're kind of mixing two segments together. Characters from one segment acting out a story in another dimension. And that makes it so you don't need the whole backstory on the characters.
Oh, that's cool.
Because it's the first time we've checked in.
That's cool.
Yeah.
We thought it was a good idea.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
It was also normally these shows are written like 4 months in advance. This one I finished writing like a week ago, because everything was so fluid on which guest stars we were going to have and which ones we weren't, and so it was, and because it didn't matter for the continuity for the most part, it was like we can keep writing past that and then come back to it. So
That's amazing.
I'm sorry, I have to step
Oh,
away.
Everything.
yeah.
No, you're good. So, looking back on all of this time, like how have you grown as a performer, as a writer? Like, what has gotten? How have you improved in yourself, or what do
Sure.
you see? Like, this show has helped me to whatever.
Well, yeah. So like I remember early on with a couple characters, both Meow Meow to some degree, and then Larry, just after just doing like the 5 pages worth of stuff, my voice would just be wrecked, just absolutely terrible.
Shredded.
But now, like after doing it for so long, I found a better way to do it, and so like Larry in particular.
Cause he's talking like this, and do that for like 10 minutes straight. It's a lot to do.
And it's easy now.
Yeah.
So
but
yeah,
you found a safe
definitely-
place for it.
Yeah, safe place and just like growing as the character, becoming more casual. I'm not really it's easier to flip into the character than it's like, all right, what is this whole thing? How does he do that? Yeah.
well, we had a vocal coach with the show for a while
That's
that
true.
helps some of the actors
Smart.
get those
Mhm.
those roles that they've
Very
been doing for a
smart.
while down.
Yeah.
So that was extremely helpful.
Because that is scary. And
Yeah.
you think of sustained vocal damage and something like this, you kind of can't do that.
And I expect them to leave it all on the field. And if they
Yeah.
aren't willing to commit, they can head to the door. I mean,
Wow.
No, I'm kidding. Obviously I'm kidding.
Fun. Okay.
It's a very dictatorial group.
Oh, I can see.
What
yeah.
has happened?
It's
I leave for 90 seconds.
We're talking about how I run the show as a fascist
yeah.
dictator.
It's
Oh, well,
okay.
that's known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Hocking Hills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I had asked, how has working on the show helped you as a performer, as a writer, as a human in general?
Well, I'm a fascist now.
Yeah,
Apparently. No, helped me as a human. Oh.
Or helped you get better in performing? And you do a lot with music too, so you
Oh,
get to
yeah.
work that side of things.
Yeah, I actually hadn't done a lot with music outside of my band until Jim approached me about doing music for the show. So it has really stretched my my composition and my music writing skills quite a bit. So that's been great for me. Especially I'd only ever written music when I felt inspired, which isn't all the time. I'm not a very prolific writer. So having someone give me something and then it not coming from inside myself and just having to take someone else's words or thoughts and then come up with a song, that's something I hadn't
great
done
skill,
before.
too.
Yeah. I just think I'd only ever done also like traditional theater. So this is a completely different format. It's a different skill set. I'd never really stretched myself vocally to find this many different voices before. Working with this many people every month has been great. I can't believe how many people are still here for this long.
That says
It's
something.
it's such a great group.
Well, we
yeah.
started with, like I said, 13. I think like 8 or 9 are still with the show.
Wow.
So it's
a thing.
Yeah. I think it's shown me like this is the type of group I want to work with. People who genuinely get along and enjoy each other and are there to do something great, to have fun, and who also, everything is handled very professionally and with kindness and compassion, I think. So now whenever if I hear about other troops or people who like we did the show and it was so stressful or just all this drama or something, like, oh,
God, we don't have.
we've had
yeah,
our
we don't
share
really
of
have-
those types of things in the earlier days. But I think what we've done is find a way to get to a place where that's not going to be part of it because it's not sustainable long term. I mean, I do think my writing's improved a little bit, but I think my main growth has been in managerial, like how to run a group like this. I made a lot of mistakes, but these guys have been very supportive, and I think it's helped.
When you're actually willing to listen to opinions too, which is a huge thing.
Ruining my fascist
Oh,
dictator
sorry. Yeah,
image.
I mean, it's a terrible place to be.
Wow.
It's I've learned a lot from all of them, and it's humbling to try to manage it. So hopefully, I've become a better manager over the years. But
I know you have.
yeah,
I've heard this.
yeah, but you haven't been around for the early days, so you don't know where I started from.
Well, I read about it. We'll hear a little
Tell-all
more.
book. Wait, I haven't read the tell-all book yet.
Well, and we'll know more on the true crime podcast after you die.
Oh, that's
So,
true.
We'll
That's
be
true.
fine.
No, that's going to be a fictional podcast.
Oh, that's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I forgot. God about that.
I'm here to talk about Jimmy.
I love that. Let's get a shadow behind.
Yeah.
Jacqueline. So tell us, where do we go?
IABDpresents.com
Okay.
or any podcast app, search It's All Been Done Radio Hour. That's the easiest thing by far.
And the episode, the 100th, will be here at Boxland.
It will.
October 14th.
Yep. And then it'll at 5 p.m. It's a Saturday. Come and then stay for the public party. We're all gonna hang out afterwards.
Nice.
Eat some food and hang out and just
Love
be
it.
merry together.
Be merry.
Yeah, we usually do our own little cast only hangout. Well, not we invite other people that are friends, but this is for everybody. We want you all to come celebrate with us.
Just enjoying the dictatorship.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, the dictatorships have to grow to stay
do.
alive. If I'm only
They do. It's
commanding
important.
18 people, it's not
It's
gonna.
just not enough.
It's gonna collapse.
Not enough. So.
Yeah, we need to annex Ohio, Columbus, and then Cincinnati, and then from
Love
there.
that. This is all fake, by the way. I hope that everybody understands this.
I don't know.
Okay. No. So proud of you guys. This is awesome. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for
Yeah, of
having
course.
us.
And thanks for listening to Speak Easily.
Boxland Media. Think big.